£1,500 really is not enough money for a car nowadays, or is it? Well, even in today's crazy car market, you can still find some bargains which will offer you some fun driving experience for less than £1,500 that you probably won't lose money on. Start with the Toyota Celica, the front-wheel drive, angry-looking generation which ended the Celica line. For now, that is. Under £1,500, it's available in both 140 and 190 horsepower flavours. Both of those cars you get variable valve timing, pretty good handling, and honestly a pretty nasty interior, but some OEM Plus mods should fix that, and hopefully you should have a pretty nice daily driver. Up next we've got the Mark IV Golf GTI, arguably one of the worst Golf GTIs ever made. However, it was available with a turbocharger for the very first time, and honestly that's a very good engine if you want something that can be tuned. In fact, you can also get it with a 2-litre engine which is not very powerful but is very, very reliable, making that version a much better daily driver. Okay, what if you want something entirely different? Then I suggest the Seat Leon Cupra. Now, I think it's a bit of a dark horse in terms of 2000s hot hatches, as it comes from a brand that has a bit of controversy around it. I don't know why. I mean, they are Volkswagens at the end of the day, so they are still pretty decent quality and still have the same sort of reliability. However, this thing looks very different and is available with more power than the Golf GTI I mentioned before. Up next we have our first investment car, the R50 Mini Cooper. The first mini hatch launched around 2000 and everyone loved it. Everyone knew it was a risk, but BMW pulled it off, and hats off to them, they did a great job. In fact, if you find a Cooper S, which you probably will do for less than £1,500, it will have the supercharged 1.6 litre engine. Now, reliability on these is a bit hit and miss. Some owners say it's good, some owners say it's bad, but really it's down to maintenance. Don't forget it's a BMW engine. Up next is the Saab 9.5 Aero. Now, this car was brilliant back in its day. It was a pretty understated car, and it still is. Not many people know about it, and that's probably because Saab is sadly defunct. However, this car is still a great daily and holds up well in 2026, thanks to its 250 horsepower engine, and it's also available as an estate. It's a great car, very reliable, brilliant daily as well. Now on to something less sensible, the Mercedes SLK. Now, buying a Mercedes under £1,500 is always risky. You usually end up with very low spec bangers or cars that are going to be a complete mechanical nightmare. However, if you do find a nice one, I recommend you go looking for an SLK. These were very underappreciated as they were seen as the poor man's SL, which they kind of were, honestly. However, they still hold up pretty well. In fact, these things were able to go up against the Porsche Boxster and stay pretty much level with it, especially this one with the 3.2 litre V6. Now, up next is another German daily driver's sports car, the BMW Z3. Now, this is definitely by far and away the best investment on the list. People are starting to like these a bit more. They were perfect as a daily driver sports car. They were much more comfortable, they had a big boot, and they were also available with a 1.9 litre M44 engine which got good fuel mileage and was very reliable. Within this budget you can also get the 2 litre and the 2.2 litre straight six, both very good engines. Up next we have the Audi TT. Now this is one of my favourite investment cars on the list. Now this car was known for a very unusual design. No one had ever seen this thing before, and like the Mini and the SLK, this thing was also seen as a fashion item. It wasn't that sporty, it didn't handle as well as other sports cars. I mean, it was front wheel drive or all wheel drive, so it was a bit heavy. However, it's not bad on track. It's actually a pretty good basis for a track car, and it's also available with the same engines that you'd find in the Cupra Leon, with between 180 and 225 brake horsepower. You also get an all-wheel drive system, which is pretty handy at this time of year. Up next, we've got the fan favourite Mazda MX-5 NB. This charming little roadster was unveiled in the early 2000s, or well, the late 90s, as a replacement for the legendary NA MX-5. However, this thing was a lot more sharper, it handled better, and crucially had more power. The 1.8 litre engine in this had 140 horsepower, making it considerably faster than its predecessor. It was available with a turbocharger, but sadly not in the UK, nor within this budget. However, this thing was a bit bigger, it was a bit more comfortable, and it was a pretty good track car as well, actually. I mean, you could potentially use this as a daily if you don't carry that much stuff around. And last but not least, we have the most risky car on the list, the Skoda Octavia VRS. Now, yes, I was able to find some, but for some reason there's something that feels a bit off about finding one of these for less than £1,500. I mean, they're not reliable, yes, but the ones within budget will have moon miles. In fact, the example I'm about to show you has 300,000 miles. So check the mileage and beware that all the servicing has been done. So if you're looking for a very cheap daily, these cars are very good options, well, most of them anyway. So please let me know which one would you pick, and also tell me which cars I should have included.